Welcome back to the Views from the Gravel Lot podcast, presented by Built in Buffalo. Today, we're shifting gears as we kind of climb into draft season, peak draft season, less than a month away from the NFL draft, which is going to be in Green Bay. Lots of fun things to talk about, lots of players I want to talk about, and we're going to do multiple parts, multiple series on it. But today, we're going to be starting up front with the edge rushers and kind of working our way to defensive tackles, and then to the second level of defense, where a lot of the Bills' priorities lie at this point in the offseason. But it should be a fun episode. As we talk about these edge rushers, I have 5 players today I'm going to talk about. And then we're going to do another episode later on this week about 5 more players. And we'll kind of keep going until we're done and covered enough players to talk about for the Bills. These are going to be players within the first or second round range for the Bills. So players they can take with one of those first 3 picks they have. Not every player I'm going to like. I kind of want to bounce around and touch base on as many prospects as I can to give you a wide range of how I feel about these players and how I feel how they fit with the Bills. But today we're solely focusing on the edge position, and I want to start today's episode talking about a player from Ole Miss. A couple players from Ole Miss. Defense is loaded with talent. I'm going to try my best to get this name right, but it's Princely Umanmielen from Ole Miss. It's a fun player, Princely. I'm just going to call him Princely. He started out at Florida. He transferred to Ole Miss. He was a 4-star recruit in 2020. So obviously this guy comes from a lot of talent. He was very productive in the SEC. He had the second most sacks with 10.5. Obviously that jumps out at you. This is the first thing you look at guys with that production in the SEC. Typically don't last long in the NFL draft. He's got good length, 33.875 inch arms. He's got really good bend. So those are the first things that pop out when you see him. He's obviously on the lighter side, so he's going to have some limitations size-wise, and you're going to see that with a lot of players I talk about today, with the exception of probably one guy. There's a lot of lighter body edges, and there's one heavier set guy I'll talk about as well, but that's the thing you'll notice with him. He is really not going to be a factor in the run game. It limits him what he can do. He's not going to be an every down player, and that's sort of the drawback with some of these guys. It's like, okay, what can you do for me in both departments? And I think when you look at the Bills and what they need specifically, the team might not feel the same way, but from my vantage point, it's like, okay, we have a lot of good run defenders, guys who can pick up the work on early downs. AJ Epinesa does a good job at it. Greg Rousseau, Mike Hoyt, who I know he's suspended for the first 6 games, even Joey Bosa. Like, these are guys that can defend the run and do it well from the edge position, obviously. But when I look at a guy like Princely, he offers you a little bit of difference, a variance that you need. He gives you the bend, and that's the first thing you notice with him. He's got an amazing first step. And yes, he ran a slower, I think it was 4.8 is what he ran on the 40, but he does it with long strides. He's able to make up with so much space with his long strides. He's got great athleticism. He just really snaps off the ball. And that's the thing with Princely Umanmielen. He has a really good dip and rip, so he does a nice job. Once he gets around that corner, he does an excellent job dipping under the arm and keep going, flattening towards the quarterback. That's one of the things I like about him. And then when you go back to the numbers, he's also got the 3rd best pass rush win rate, and that's against SEC competition. And I don't like to get too caught up in that just because, there's good players and, talent is talent, skills are skills. But when you're doing it against the best and the best athletes, it means something. And if there is a minor league version of the NFL, the SEC is the closest thing to that. He is a true speed rusher, which, again, that presents some limitations. Like, he's not going to win with power. He does show a bull rush, but it's not going to be his go-to. His go-to is going to be working in that outside corner, trying to set tackles up. And he also has a pretty deep bag. And one move I did see him use on tape was that hezzy step, where he kind of freezes the tackle and then goes back around the corner. Does that. He has a nice counter to that. So that's something I like when I saw. So he does a nice job setting tackles up. He does a really good job at it. He's got layers to it. So he can win with cross drops. He has the inside spin he's shown. So he's not a one-trick pony. And I think a lot of people will get caught up when they look at a smaller speed rusher guy, like, okay, he can do one thing really well. That's not true with Princely Umanmielen. He can do different things. He gives you layers to his pass rush plan, and he can freeze tackles, and he does a lot of nice things. I think The biggest drawback though is like he is going to be a rotational player. He's not somebody you're going to trust early downs to handle the run game. He will get washed out against the run. He needs refinement as a run defender. And again, these things will improve with coaching, but mass is a lot to do with it. And like you're not going to just be a good run defender if you put on 10 pounds. There's a lot more that goes into it. And is he comfortable playing at that weight? Is another question mark. I think when you look at that. Um, he also doesn't play with sort of the fire you want to see as a run defender. It's like he's already undersized, he lacks the mass, and I think part of that he's like, okay, why should I give 110% on the run plays if I'm just gonna get bodied and washed out by these guys? You'll see sometimes he just doesn't really hustle. He gives you 110% on pass rush plays, but on run downs, he's giving you like 70 or 80. It's like, okay, can you give me the full thing here? Give me your best effort. And I don't know if he's doing that in the run game. I think that's a question mark for him. Um, I think he does. He, like I said, he does show bull. It does pop up sometimes. If he can develop his power and even widen sort of the variance he already has with his pass rush plan, I think it makes him even more dangerous. And he's a guy, obviously, you're going to use in the wide nine technique, try to set him up in space, use that speed, use that first step, that quick first step to really beat tackles. I would give him a second round grade. He has an 8.54 raw athletic score. I would say mid second round grade seems right for him, just because most guys in the second and third round aren't locks for day one starters. They can start right away. He has got a lot of work to do in the run game, and that's going to limit him in terms of what he can do for your defense. But a team like the Bills, as I said earlier, you necessarily don't really need that skill set. You can work with him on that and develop that. But right now, the Bills need guys that can get to the quarterback and deliver results. It's been obviously the most inconsistent thing for the better part of 5, 6 years now. Like they just haven't had guys that can get to the quarterback and deliver results and give you double-digit sacks. He's got the potential to do that. Um, we'll see how it works for him. I'm not like super huge fan on him, but I know a lot of people brought up his name when I asked who you wanted to talk about for edge targets, and he's something I think a lot of people are partial on. It's all about your stylistic preferences, like what do you look for an edge rusher? Um, he definitely checks a few boxes, and then there's some boxes that are unchecked. So solid player. Definitely a lot of room for improvement, but definitely the good foundation and basis you want for a guy that can be a speed rusher that can give you double digit sacks. The next player I wanted to talk about is probably my favorite edge rusher within the range of the Bills picks, and there's a few reasons for that. But Donovan Ezeiruaku from Boston College, he's one of my guys, and I know I don't want to get caught up in saying that because he is a first round projected player, and he might go earlier in the Bills pick, and he might require a trade up of a few spots. I don't imagine it'll be a huge jump to get him, but he is a player that is just a true technician. And when I watch edge rushers, I want to see guys that have plans, guys that can do different things, guys that really love the game of football and don't need to be this superstar otherworldly athlete to win. He isn't an amazing athlete. He's a good athlete. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good athlete. He's definitely above average. He had an 8.28 RAS, raw athletic score. Again, another linear guy. He's not super big, but what he does so well is he is just such a technician when it comes to his pass rush plan. He has multiple moves, multiple tackles are going to guess wrong, and that's kind of what I love about his game. Is he studies tackles. He said it. Someone asked him a question. I think it was at the Senior Bowl, and he went into how he studies tackles and he takes pride in to learning the weaknesses in front of him and using that to set these guys up with a wide array of these finesse moves that can just throw these tackles off. And he does such a good job. Very, very productive player in college, 16 and a half sacks. He had 14 pressures in a game against Pitt. So obviously, like, the production's there. Like, you see it. You see it. Another underrated thing, his entire team voted him as a captain. So, like, as somebody that's just watching the tape and gonna help me have a certain perspective on players and doesn't really know them personally, that does hold some weight for me. It's like, okay, your entire team handpicked you, and you might be one of the better players, but they handpicked you to lead their defense and be a vocal leader, and that's what he was. Um, I think a thing that will jump out for a lot of people when they watch him is he doesn't have that quick first step. He is more patient and paces his pass rush plan, and I think that's why you don't see the explosive first step and the get off, because he's always trying to work a tackle and try to look at what they're doing. And there's a little bit more thought that goes into his plan. So I think that definitely plays into it. He's functional as a looper. He could slip blocks pretty well. Um, and I think obviously the big thing is his agility. He's bendy. He had the quickest three cone at the combine, and the shuttle at the combine. So you're getting the quickness, the agility to get around tackles. Not necessarily have the first, the straight line speed that you might be looking for, but he does have the agility and the quickness to get there. He's got a really good motor too. That's another thing that stood out to me. He works through hands, arms, shoulders. He continually moves his feet and keeps going to the quarterback and transitions through that line to flatten towards the quarterback. He does an excellent job at dipping and doing that. And in the run game, I don't think he's a really good run defender, but I don't think he's terrible either. But when I saw tackles thrown his way, and I know he's not facing George Kittle or these high level blockers, but he would shed them rather easily. So like that wouldn't disrupt him and throw him off when they would throw extra blockers as well. And like he is basically like a boxer as an edge rusher. He's not like a speed rusher. He's not necessarily a power rusher. He's a boxer. He wins with his hands. He knows how to work off tackles and kind of plays sort of a defensive mindset from an edge rusher. It's something more rare that you see in these kind of players, where you kind of get a guy that's more not really looking to attack right away. He's looking to just set you up. That's what you get with him. And he's just he's just a very nuanced rusher. Has the cross chops, has the clubs, double swipes, all that stuff. Which is something we talk about setting guys up. Something Joey Bosa did consistently at Ohio State, and how he learned at the college level to like set guys up. That's somebody who we could learn a ton from. Who's like a perfect mentor for that. He's got very accurate and active hands. Look back to the boxing part, and then even his 34-inch arms, which is probably one of my gripes, because he doesn't use his length enough. He sometimes he over relies on his ability to set guys up and win with finesse, and that can be a problem. His anchor is inconsistent in the run game, but it's not terrible for somebody that's 250 pounds. He doesn't overrun things all the time. He makes splash plays in the run game, so like you're getting an average run defender. So I think there is a 3-down skill set within there if you're able to continue to grow his ability to defend the run. Doesn't have that violent punch or that super strong power, but I would like to see a little bit of a curveball with those longer arms. Use more of his length to throw off tackles, even more so than he already does. But again, another player that you can line up, in that 7 or a 9 tech, a wide 9, and kind of put him in space and let him work. So big fan of him. Would absolutely love it if the Bills drafted him at 30. I have just grown to like the player a lot. I just think he's got a lot to his game, and he's only going to get better, right? NFL level coaching. The Bills haven't had a strong success rate with defensive linemen, especially in the draft. But I think this guy has the skill set and the tools you look for in a guy that can be, a real producer in the sack department for you. So I love Donovan Ezeiruaku. Now let's go to the other side of it. Landon Jackson from Arkansas, because a lot of people are torn on Landon Jackson. And I think there's a bit of a range here with Landon Jackson, because I think people, you either love him or you hate him. I don't think there's really an in between, and I think more people need to go into that gray area and kind of accept who he is for what he is. Again, somebody tested very, very well. 9.7 RAS score. He's a captain in Arkansas. Didn't have that super elite production that a guy like Donovan Ezeiruaku had. Could he be in play at 30? From the Bills' perspective, probably. I think this is a player the Bills will like. They've met with multiple times. I have a lower grade on him. I'm more of a low end second to high end third kind of player. But that's not, again, my opinion. What does that mean, right? But the big thing he does well is he wins from these tighter alignments. He's able to win inside. You kick him inside. He's the length and the power to win inside. So he offers a little bit of scheme versatility there, because he's not going to give you the bend to win around the corner, but he's also a guy that makes up for it by his ability to win inside with that size. So it kind of balances that a little bit. But again, he tested very well. He ran a 4.68 at 260 pounds. He had the highest vert, second highest broad jump among all edge rushers at the combine. So obviously athletically, he's gifted. Um, but again, like I said, the production really wasn't there. He had a 14% career pass rush grade. It just wasn't super productive, and I think some of that is due to the alignment he was used in. Like, he played mostly 4-eye at Arkansas, and they didn't give him opportunities to showcase more of that bend, because you sometimes you will see him win with bend at that size. It's weird, and I know people like use it as his biggest like knock, and he's not gonna be the super agile bendy guy, which is not what he is. He's gonna be a pocket compressor, but uh, he has shown it. It's not completely gone. Um, he knows how to beat your hands. I think that's another key trait he is. He times things very well. He's able to use cross chops and beat hands. He has the hezzy moves, even for a guy that size. Pretty impressive. Um, and again, at that size, you're going to be a plus run defender because you're at an advantage, right? You have tenacity with that size. He defends the run well. He's got a very active and strong motor. Seems like a really just a hardworking player. The only issue is with that size, right? Being 6'6", it's going to cause some limitations, especially at the pad level. Like, you're not going to be able to get lower than underneath, tackles pads because you're 6'6" and you're so tall. It's so difficult to do. It can be taught, it can be developed, but it's just difficult to do at that size. And again, he is going to struggle on the outside. He doesn't have the lower half really to bend and accelerate around the edge at a super high level. But he does fit the Bills' preference in their archetype, the bigger body, pocket compressing edge that can two gap and play with those lighter boxes and help your team out. But that's just not what I'm looking for. And I think I would be disappointed if they took him at 30. If he ended up falling later in the second and they took him there, I'd feel better about it. Um, because obviously he's got great athleticism and he's got some nice traits. Um, but like, what is the ceiling there? Like, if you're not able to win around the corners, like I don't know if I love the player. Um, but again, he checks some boxes, and it's a player I know the Bills are gonna like. I'm pretty sure he said he's met with the Bills like 8 times, so he is a player they like. Um, Not a player I love, but we'll see with him. Um, Next player, let's move on. We're staying in the SEC. Noticing a trend here. It's our third SEC player we've covered. This player I had a ton of fun watching because I was actually legitimately surprised by watching his tape, and it's Bradyn Swinson of LSU. Really, really fun and intriguing player. Again, we're going back to the mold of a smaller bodied edge, a guy that's not super big, but he does have power. So he transferred from Oregon. He's sort of a late bloomer, late breakout at LSU. He didn't really get a ton of playing time throughout his college career up until this last season in 2024, where he finally saw the field and he broke out in a big way. He's 6'4", 250 pounds. He had the second highest pass rush win rate against true pass sets the entire class. So like he was productive. 8.5 sacks, 60 pressures, and he is a guy that definitely deserves a lot more love because I just didn't know what I was missing when I watched him. I'm like, what's the kick here? What I kept watching more and more. I'm like, what's the catch? What's the catch? I couldn't really put a finger on one huge issue being a red flag. And like, this is a player I have an earlier second round grade on. Explosiveness. He's an explosive athlete. He gets off the ball. He's a savvy rusher. And he used 2024 as an opportunity to really develop and grow as a player, like and further enhance some of the skills he has. Has capabilities as a dropper on Sims and creepers. Like, I know the Bills are going to be probably doing that with Michael Hoyt, and it's probably the reason why they brought him in. But this is a player you can do that with. Like, he's not going to chase a guy up the scene 15 yards on the field, but he can drop. He has capabilities. He can stunt, so you can get creative with him. And I think the biggest thing is he's got really long arms, so he keeps guys off balance. Does a really good job at that. Has some nice refined hand usage. So you see him win with his hands, win with his length, and then the fluidity. So like, you really are getting a complete package from the pass rush standpoint. There's not many flaws with Bradyn Swinson because he's fluid. He's got great hands. He's got the length. He's got the first step. So like, there's not really one elite trait, but he's got a lot of really good traits. His hand strength even, like, his punch is very evident. His speed to power is some of the best in the class. I think he had one of the better speed to power rush clips I saw in this class. I'll put it up on the screen for the people on YouTube. But he really, is able to show that. And again, when you're talking about a smaller body edge, what's the downside? It's they're not gonna be necessarily an every down player, which is something the Bills might prefer stylistically, because he's inconsistent as an edge sitter, but I do see moments where, like, okay, this guy actually can be a good run defender. He struggles a little bit against pullers. He will over pursue. So again, these are things that can be tweaked with coaching. And I think that the one concern I had was that they didn't use him in a ton of different roles. He was just basically their stand up edge. I didn't see him really put his hand in the dirt that often. Um, so like, how often are you going to be able to do that with him? I don't know. He does have some hip stiffness, so he's not able to flatten to the quarterback, and that's why I think the sack production could have been even better because he lacks that true overall the hip motion you want. He's got some stiffness in it that doesn't allow him to get the production he wants. And again, leaner frame, smaller guy, but he's got a real bag. Just like I said with Donovan Ezeiruaku, he's got ability to win with swiped dips, cross chops, first speed to power, plays with bends, got to get off. Like, he's got a lot of really good things going for him. And this is a player I think more people should be talking about, especially Bills fans. If he starts to slip a little bit, is Brandon Beane going to be sitting here in the second round with they have 2 second-round picks saying, "Hey, what can I do to move up 10 or so spots to get us a guy like this on our defense?" Because he would be, I think, would slot in perfectly as that fourth edge rusher on your team to learn and grow. Because obviously you don't, AJ Epinesa, Joey Bosa are both expiring free agents at the end of the year. So really look for some long-term opportunity here. And I think if I'm a betting man, I'm gambling on this profile because he's got the full bag of pass rush moves. There's not really a ton of flaws to him. So I feel good about this. Again, 22.1 pass rush win percentage against SEC competition. This is a player that's done it at a high level and has shown skills and traits that can be really used to be a really good player. Last player I'm going to talk about tonight before we'll go into the next episode. We'll talk about some more edge rushers. I want to usually do like 5 to 6 per episode to kind of give you guys an idea who I'm talking about, who I'm looking at. Very interesting player, and it's Josiah Stewart from Michigan because the numbers like popped out at me. I'm like, whoa, what am I missing here? He's a little bit undersized. Not a little bit. He's a lot undersized. 6'1", 245 pounds. That's a big deal, right? But he plays so much bigger than that size, and you see a lot of grit to his game. Really good motor. He chases guys downfield, and he's surprisingly not terrible against the run at that size. And obviously, you're going to be getting a heavy finesse rush plan. A player I like to view as sort of in the same mold as him is like a kind of like a Hassan Reddick, almost like he plays like Hassan Reddick. He's got that explosive first step. He can do with speed. He can with speed to power. And being a smaller guy, he plays with really good pad level. So he's got the strength to get underneath tackles, pads, and that helps him out a lot. There's a little bit of versatility there too. He can play with his hand in the dirt. He can play standing up. He can do that. He can do both those things. And he's a real technician with his hands. Not to the extent of Ezeiruaku or even Swinson, but he can win with rips, swims, cross chops. But I think his arm length will hurt him in the long run. 32 and 3/4 is what he's measuring at right now. And then when you go up against those bigger size power based tackles who are going to be able to handle his burst, it's going to present a big issue at that size. But um, the reason I highlighted him, I want to talk about him, is because despite you know tackles being 60, 70 pounds heavier than this guy, he was able to just keep working through it. There would be games where it's just not his day. And then he'll come up with a key pressure in the fourth quarter or even overtime where it's like this guy is just constantly fighting through it and he's got the competitive toughness. And that's something that I really like. Like, this is a guy that knows what he is, but he's just fighting through it. He's continuing to battle. And that kind of willpower will get you, it will go a long way in the NFL. Um, But again, it is concerning at that size, being that smaller, 6'1", 240. You're gonna absolutely need to put on a little bit more bulk here, and he's got shorter arms. So, what is the ceiling? Um, there's certainly some limitations, and there will be some other players that have some limitations physically as well. But again, he's productive in his conference, has some good plans, plays with good pad level, has a good first step. Um, so he makes up for some of that size and the limitation he has with his arm length. So that is a player I was didn't do a ton of work on like I did the other ones, but he's somebody that just stood out because it's like it's rare you see guys that actually aren't horrid against the run at that size. Like he puts together good effort and good plays. Like double teams will clear him out, but like he'll occasionally have some nice plays in the run game. So really, really good player to talk about. And I have a third round grade on him. But if there's a lot of edge rushers that have gone off the board and you're sitting there with your second round pick and you haven't taken an edge yet, I don't think this is the worst option in the world because there's some upside as a speed rusher. That a guy can with finesse, he can use his power. He can really use power at his size and get get underneath pads and win with power. And he's got that first step to go along with that. So there is a foundation and a base in place for a very solid pass rusher. Um, Again, it will probably be in a limited role, which is something I'm going to be talking about with some of these edge rushers that the Bills will be looking at here in the draft. But again, what do you need? And for me, I keep coming back to the same thing. Just need guys that can get to the quarterback. It's as simple as that. They need closers. They need guys that are going to deliver results and convert pressures to sacks. Pressures are great, but are you getting the quarterback on the ground? Are you actually delivering, negative plays? And that's what this Bills defense desperately needs. So I hope everybody enjoyed this little video that little podcast episode we did. I am going to be talking about more edge rushers later on this week, and then we'll kind of shift, like I said, into defensive tackles. There is just so many prospects I have to cover. So we'll do 5 for today, and we'll leave it at that. But if there's any edge rushers you guys like me to talk about next, please feel free to leave a comment, subscribe, rate the podcast wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or even YouTube if you're watching the video version. But a lot of fun things to talk about. Draft season is upon us, less than a month away, like I said earlier. The Bills have got a lot of work to do. Corner, defensive line, edge. This defense needs to improve, and there are certainly some players out there that can fit the mold. So, very, very fun episode. I love the draft. Love this time of the year. We'll have some couple guests on and talk about some more draft prospect stuff. But thank you for everybody tuning in tonight. Links will be in the description below. You can check us out wherever you get your audio or visual viewing pleasure. You'll find us. Got us over on Twitter now, which is something we're trying to be a little bit more active with. So thanks again, everybody. Have a good night and go Bills.